Well, good morning YouTube, and welcome back to Retired for Life. So I've still got this oddball log sitting here. We got distracted for a little bit. I was down at a friend's place to help him with that post beam and peg building that I mentioned in an earlier video, but I didn't film any of that for privacy issues. We are back here and we're back to looking at this log. It is really gnarly. It is really heavy. I just barely got it up onto the bed here with a lot of extra work to get it here. And it's just so crooked. But this is our first challenge, is to get this thing sawed up into boards. So it's going into board and batten boards. So combination of 8-inch boards and 3-inch battens. We'll see what we can get out of it. But to start today, I've got to flip this thing. And boy, it's a challenge to move around. Now, when I worked on this the last time, as I got it into position, I had to keep the tractor grapple up against it just to make sure it couldn't roll off of the mill on me and possibly damage something or myself. So I think we're going to do that again. I'm going to bring the tractor up close to it, and then take the tension off the clamps and rearrange my backstops here and see if I can roll it over without having to pick it up and take it off altogether with the tractor. So it should be light enough now with all the pieces that I have cut off with the chainsaw and the first slab that I have taken off as well. So let's see what we can do with this. Wow. So I'm about 4 inches up in the air on this end off of the bunk, and I've got about 4 inches of material stuffed underneath it on this end. It's not the greatest setup. It looks a little rocky. You're gonna have to be really careful on the first cut. But I've got it square up against the backstop, so I'm happy with that. Seems pretty solid. We'll give it a go, get some material off this thing and get it flat. That's 2 boards I got off it now. There's so much twist and turn in it. I think if I can get 2 3-inch battens out of those 2 boards, that'll be good. But I'm to the point now where I'm wide enough that I should be able to start getting 8-inch boards off of it. So we've got 1 square corner. Now, it was a struggle to get it up against the backstop, but it is nice and square. I did get it up there quite well. So again, we'll try flipping this monster, but it is getting lighter, so it'll be getting easier. Almost lost it. Okay, here we go. It's going to go over with a bang. Oh, good. We're almost to the point of being handleable. So this is finally starting to look like something that we're going to be able to use. Now the backstops on this have got an angle on them. So you want to make sure you've got your point or high end out when you're rolling your log. That way it's going to roll and roll off of that angle. If you got it around this way, this part is just going to dig right into your log and make it much more difficult to roll it over. So you want to put it that way when you're rolling, and then I usually turn it back so I've got this part up against the log after I've got it into position. So we'll finish squaring this up and then turn it into boards and then get on with other logs. Well, we did pretty good with that twisty log. 5, 6. I got 11 8-inch by 1 boards for the board and batten. 2 2x4s. I actually found a little bit where there wasn't too bad in knots, and 3 2x2s. I use 2x2s a lot for boxes, that kind of thing, any little reinforcing job, so not really structural, but handy to have. So that's pretty good. So the next log is a real little one, which won't take too long to do, and then we're back into the monsters. So we'll get cleaned up from this, I think probably get a bite of lunch, and then get that little log up on here and carry on. So there's our next log up, and this is just a beautiful thing. Very small branches in it. "17 inches at the one end, 16 inches at the small end. So it's beautifully straight. Quite a difference from the last one we just did. But I can't get back far enough here with my clamp. So I've got to take the chainsaw and cut a little notch here to get the clamp in. Well, there we go. most of that notch that I just cut in there will disappear when I take that slab cut off the top or off this side. So that's it, we're ready to start cutting. You can see the notch that I cut in here to get the clamp in on my first cut on this log. But this is what usually happens when you have to put a notch in. Gone. So it's not a problem to cut a notch in, as long as you're not cutting really deep kind of thing. That works quite well to help you get that clamp decently in place to hold these logs. These big heavy logs, you really need to have a decent hold. Alright, let's keep turning this into lumber. Alright guys, we've been making really good progress here. So I am down to 5 logs. And these logs are that poplar that I cut and pulled out a while ago from a neighbor's field. That was the tree that was lying down. Well, my son helped me pull these out. So I don't have a specific use for these. Now, it is a pretty crappy wood. You could call it hardwood because apparently it does get pretty hard after it dries. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut these up, but just into 1-inch boards. No specific width or anything, just whatever they end up in width is what I'm going to get. And then I'm going to sticker and stack them, and they'll go into the other small drying hut, the old garden shed where I've got some 2x6s. And if I don't come up for a use for them, I'll probably just use them as kindling. But I think what I'm going to end up doing with them is using them for kind of a wall cover for the sunroom that I'm going to be working on, or I hope to be working on next year. So they'll probably get cut up into like 4-inch boards or something like that, 4x1 boards, and just run through the planer to make them smooth and a little more decorative, and then stained once they're inside the sunroom. So let's have a look at where we are with material inside the drying tent now that we have finished all our pine. Yeah, there is a lot of wood in here. So as it stands right now, including the 2x6s that I have over in the old garden shed, I've got 134 2x6s, 116 2x4s. They're both going to be used for construction. And then I have got 60 1x4s. Now those are going to be the strapping that's going to be used to go up on the new storage building and on the converted observatory for the metal roof that's going to go on those two buildings. And then I have got 194 1x3s, which will be used for board and batten. And I've got 224 1x8s, which are also meant for board and batten. So that has been a pretty good haul this year. My supply is really up there, which is what I want. So next year, we'll be building like crazy. So just for the fun of it, I made up a little spreadsheet here on my computer where I can just input quantities and it automatically calculates the amount of board feet that I've got. So there's no real purpose in calculating board feet for me because I'm not selling my lumber, but I thought just for the fun of it, it would be interesting to be able to just punch in numbers on a spreadsheet and have it tell me just what it is I've got. So that works quite nicely. I've got my sizes down there, and I've got my quantities there, and then all of the board feet calculations are now done automatically on the spreadsheet, and then it gives me my total there. So right now, if I count the 2x2s that I've also got down in the shop here now, and just counting the pine that I've cut, I've got 3,431 board feet cut and ready to go. So that's good. I'm very pleased with that. So next year should be a real big construction year. I'm looking forward to getting going on that. Really looking forward to getting going on that. Although I would imagine fairly early on in the spring we'll be out cutting logs to do us for next year as well, because my log bunk is empty. Art wants to get some more cut, so that will probably be in the spring, but we'll see what happens there. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the trails the next time.